No surprise, but I'm late. Had a meeting that went long, was trapped in a foreign country. Also, did I make that sound too dramatic? Um, a couple for an extra day or so, but we're back. Plan on doing this Thursday. Obviously, couldn't because of circumstances, but we're here. It is AmeriCup season. Have not done anything on AfroBasket yet because of various conflicts and traveling and things of that nature. But the finals are going on this weekend. We'll have something on it either before or after the fact, either recapping it or previewing the championships, gold medal, bronze medal game, something along those lines. Um, Recently just went to Curacao, was great. Their airport though is an absolutely maddening experience. I'll have a different time for that, but it's literally a very long story about how basically just all flights were pushed back a day and they had to scramble to just put everyone else in different hotels, and it was just a nightmare. Waiting online for 3 straight hours is just not something anybody should have to do. Okay, FIBA AmeriCup is here. Talked about Asia Cup. Those of you who saw that, thank you. Um, Australia ended up winning. China was the silver medalist and played really well in the gold medal game. Aside from that, New Zealand did not medal as I thought they would. Surprisingly lost in the bronze medal game. Iran, who played really well throughout the tournament, they're in and they won a bronze medal. So now the AmeriCup is starting. AfroBasket's winding down again. We'll have something on that. The AmeriCup is starting literally in less than an hour at the time you're watching this. But still, even if you're watching this late, and probably more people will, there will be necessary details, key points, points of analysis, yada, yada, yada. We're going to share a screen that will, hold up as the tournament goes on. So everything you need to know. Now, you don't need to know everything, but there are certain things you do need to know when following these tournaments. Let's share screen. We have a lot to get into. Let's start off with, as a matter of fact, we're going to lay out the field and then we're going to take a brief historical detour because some people watching this maybe didn't watch last AmeriCup, which happened in 2022. We're now on a once every 4 year schedule. The next one should be in 2029. The last tournament took place in 2022. This was in Brazil, and Brazil did an interesting, had a really good tournament run, lost in the gold medal game to Argentina. But here's the field now. Wikipedia, believe it or not, as I always say, they have the best sort of interface for this kind of shit. So we're going to look right now. Here's the AmeriCup table by table, the seating, all these different things. So here we go. Group A. And if you're watching, following along, donations, comments, questions, so on and so forth, even if you watch after the fact, always appreciated. Again, just getting back into the swing of things here after a short time away, but we are here. Okay. Group A. Group A is a stacked group. This is, if you want to give somebody group of death, Group A is the group to do that with. Group A is a monster. Group A has a Team USA. Now, understandably, Team USA is not the LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Like this isn't what it is. Like the last coach that Team USA had that really forced Team USA to have a actual program was, in fact, Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, when he was the coach of the Redeem team. But the process started before that. In 2007, 2007, they were in the AmeriCup. They won resoundingly. It was literally all the star players, like a bunch of guys that played on the Redeem team. Kobe Bryant, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Mari Stoudemire, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, so on and so forth. Coach K had these dudes playing against the Virgin Islands, beating them by 1,000,000 points. That was 2007. This Team USA team is not that. This Team USA team basically is a bunch of G League players who are good, like legitimately really good basketball players. Still one of the favorites to win the whole thing, but it's not the overwhelming, domineering force that Team USA typically is. Team USA is in this group. They're in this group with Brazil. Brazil, if you pay attention earlier here into the pots, as a matter of fact, let me explain this part because some people, a lot of people don't know any of this because FIBA doesn't do a great job of explaining it. And you have people like me who cover this, and honestly, there aren't a lot of people who cover this. So we have for pot one, you have US, Canada, Nicaragua. The way that works is Nicaragua is the host of this tournament. They're in pot one just because they're the host. But this is otherwise ordered in terms of ranking where you are in the world. And this right here, where you see position POS, that's where everyone is in the world, according to the world. So pot one are the best two teams plus the host: United States, Canada, Nicaragua. United States number one in the world, Canada number 6 in the world in terms of world ranking. Argentina, Brazil, Puerto Rico in pot two at 8, 12, and 15 respectively. Dominican Republic 18, 8, 12, and 15. Dominican Republic 18, Venezuela 25, Uruguay 51. And then pot four, the Bahamas at 52. That's going to go up. I'm telling you right now, that's going to go up. They should not be a 52 any longer, especially considering that they beat Argentina twice last year, including in Argentina. Colombia 55, Panama 57. We have in Group A, United States, Brazil, Uruguay, and the Bahamas. Bahamas, again, they're better than their ranking. I think they're actually better than Uruguay. I think a lot of people who pay attention to FIBA would agree with that. We'll get into the Bahamian national team a little bit later. My boy Timmy, if you do end up watching this, your team is very good. You should be proud of that, even though you don't have like everybody. But it's the AmeriCup, it's the Continental Cup. Nobody, even in Europe, nobody has everybody. Although Europe is closer than teams here. But the AmeriCup is going to be a fun tournament. So this is Group A. This is a monster. Group B, Panama, Venezuela, Canada, Puerto Rico. The first game of the AmeriCup is actually going to start in about 40 minutes from when this is being recorded. So by the time you're watching this, chances are you will have seen Puerto Rico possibly beat Panama. They're favored by 25.5 points. Canada and Puerto Rico are the favorites in this group, and the group before was USA, Brazil. It should be noted that the top two teams automatically move on, and the third place team, it'll depend. And then let's wrap up the groups here and then explain that part. Group C is the Dominican Republic, the host Nicaragua. You have Colombia and you have Argentina. Argentina is here. They're the best team in this group by ranking, but the Dominican Republic is good, like legitimately very good. They're even in the power rankings, the FIBA's power rankings that are somewhat controversial, ahead of Argentina right now. So I think that's something that's going to be hotly contested. Absolutely. So here we go. The knockout stage will basically be similar to any other tournament. You have your first ranked team, you have your 8th ranked team, 4, 5, 2, 7, 3, and 6. So of these groups, the top two teams will move on from each group automatically. So if you're 3-0, you're in. If you're 2-1, you're most likely going to be in. If you're 1-2, or if you have a group that has 3 2-1 teams, chances are all 3 teams will get in. But if you're 1-2, this is where point differential matters. This is where head-to-head results, which won't be a factor in that part of the tournament yet, that will matter in terms of, as I mentioned, point differential. That's going to be the key thing there to watch out for, as is the case with FIBA competitions just in general, right? Your third place teams. I think the way this would shake out in terms of like if everything happens the way it's quote unquote supposed to, right? In terms of expectation, USA and Brazil would move on in whatever order. The winner of the game between the two of them would be first. I think the Bahamian national team gets at least a victory. Maybe it's only one in the group, but I think they get at least a victory. I'm not sleeping on them potentially getting to 2-1, but I'd be stunned here if the Bahamas loses to Uruguay. So the way this shakes out is USA and Brazil, because FIBA tends to do this pretty well. They're going to play for the group most likely, not officially, but most likely in that third game. It's going to be Brazil, Uruguay, United States, Bahamas, first games. Then you have Bahamas and Brazil. That's going to be a big one. FIBA's trying to gear up for like Brazil, the United States to just beat each other, to face each other at 2-0 each. But the Bahamas and Uruguay have multiple opportunities at playing spoiler. But chances are what you can see is the United States plays Brazil. they're both 2-0 at the end, and then Bahamas and Uruguay both 0-2, playing with a chance to potentially move on. And let's say the Bahamian national team loses to Team USA and it's like 88-81, and they lose to Brazil and it's like 77-74, then you have a negative 10-point differential and you beat Uruguay by 12, you're all of a sudden +2 and you have a good chance of moving on from that point. So that's just an example of how this can work, right? Group B, the expectation here is Canada and Puerto Rico are the best two teams. Similarly, they'll be playing maybe for first place. Now, you have to couch all these things because it's a tournament, it's March Madness style, it's one game, anything could happen, so on and so forth, all the qualifiers. And the thing with this tournament is, and these tournaments in general, just because there are favorites and just because this is what like typically happens, no, it's not. We get surprises all the time. There were a bunch in the Asia Cup. South Sudan was one of the favorites to win Afrobasket, didn't even sniff the semifinal, didn't even come close. Okay, they lost in their very first game to Guinea. So I think with all these different tournaments, just legitimately be prepared to expect the unexpected. So Group B, the way Group B shakes out, you have Panama, Puerto Rico, you have Venezuela, Canada. The expectation would be, now Canada has to watch it because Venezuela is better than you think, but Puerto Rico, Canada should take care of business, quote unquote, these first couple games. Venezuela is the one who can really play spoiler, I think, with all due respect to Panama. But Venezuela is the one where it wouldn't stun me if they were to pull off an upset against either Canada or Puerto Rico. Venezuela, by the way, has won the AmeriCup before, leading up to the 2016 Olympics, I want to say in 2015, which was a surprise, and then they ended up going to the Olympics. Canada versus Puerto Rico could be for first place. Venezuela versus Panama could be for third place in a similar situation as Bahamas and Uruguay. Again, not necessarily how these things are always going to go, but that's sort of what FIBA is gearing you up for in terms of the scheduling. And then Group C, it's not terribly similar, as a matter of fact, because they didn't put the highest ranked two teams last, so to speak. You have Nicaragua, the host. They're going to play Argentina. That's going to be later on tonight from the time this is being recorded. The Dominican Republic is going to play Colombia. That's going to be a hell of a crowd. That's going to be a hell of a crowd. You have the Dominican Republic playing Argentina. That's the game to watch in this group, I think. I think that could very well be for first place. It's the second game because I think Argentina is going to beat up on Nicaragua. I think Nicaragua is the worst team in this tournament, and they're only in this tournament because they're the hosts. I'm just keeping it real. Like, if you look at the FIBA America's rankings, they're not in the top 12 at all. As a matter of fact, let's pull that up, because to give you an idea of where these teams are in the Americas, because I showed off where these teams are as it relates to the rest of the world, but in the Americas specifically, United States, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, all in the tournament. That's the top 7. And if you're looking at because the Americas get 7 teams in the World Cup, who are the teams that are most likely from the Americas to be in the next World Cup will be those top 7. It's not always going to work out that way. I think the Bahamas actually has a good chance, depending on who shows up in qualifiers, so on and so forth. We're not even at World Cup qualifiers yet. That starts in November. More on that later. Mexico, who is not in this, who could have been if someone else was hosting other than Nicaragua potentially. Mexico, who is not in this, they're 8th in the Americas. Uruguay, Bahamas, Colombia, Panama. So Mexico is the only top 12 team not in this tournament. Nicaragua, 17. 17, and they just moved down a spot. Chile, Cuba, Virgin Islands, Costa Rica, all better, all higher ranked. Paraguay is on their level, which makes sense. Jamaica, who just had Norman Powell from the Miami Heat play with them, and they have some other players in the NBA of Jamaican descent who are contemplating playing for the national team. Now, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make, to be honest with you, but like they're a team that can move up. We won't get into a deep dive of the Jamaican national team right now, but this is the format of the tournament. And then from there, you have your knockout stage. So the way I think I think the most likely outcome is that Group C is the two-team group. Group C gets like Argentina, the Dominican Republic. That's it. Group B would get a third team, Venezuela, Canada, Puerto Rico. And then Group A would get like the US, Brazil, and I think the Bahamas. I think that's like if I'm projecting and looking at what are the most likely sort of scenarios, I think that's it. It's like United States, Brazil, Bahamas in whatever order. Bahamas probably third, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're again second. Same thing here. Canada, Puerto Rico. The Canada, Puerto Rico winner first, the loser second, Venezuela third. Although, again, wouldn't surprise me if Venezuela is the reason Canada or Puerto Rico goes 1-2. Now, I'm Puerto Rican, obviously. I don't I don't want to see them go 1-2 in this group because I don't mean alarming things. We'll get to how I feel about them in terms of winning the tournament later or not. But the Dominican Republic and Argentina, I think, yeah, I think these are the teams in Group C, and then on we go with the rest of the bracket. Briefly, here's what happened in the 2022 AmeriCup. Briefly, similar pots. Mexico was here. Actually, they were 24th in the world at the time. Um, Virgin Islands were there also, but many of the same teams. Many of the same teams. The teams who were not in the last AmeriCup that are in this one are the Bahamian national team and Nicaragua. Virgin Islands dropped out. Mexico dropped out. Group A, Brazil, Canada handled business. They were the two favorites to move on. They did that. Canada similarly had a team of mostly guys who are not in the NBA, but good basketball players nonetheless. Brazil they typically bring not their like A+ squad, but they're usually closer to it, which is why they're actually the favorite, not one of the favorite to win this tournament. Get to that shortly. Group B, Argentina, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Virgin Islands. Hell of a group. Tough break for the Virgin Islands. You get PR, DR, and Argentina in the same group. PR and the Virgin Islands also had a banger that third game. Virgin Islands made it spooky, but PR ended up beating them. And then PR beat the Dominican Republic in that first game, as we tend to do very often. Apologies. Uh, there's Dominican with me in the room. United States, Mexico, Venezuela, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. People watching this, remember, Mexico actually beat the United States in the first game of the AmeriCup. They even beat them in World Cup qualifiers. More recently than that, a team that had like Isaiah Thomas, Boston Celtics, Isaiah Thomas, that is, although he was not with the Boston Celtics anymore. And then this was the ranking of the third place teams, as I mentioned, just sort of a point differential. Venezuela actually didn't need point differential because they were straight up 2-1. So they were minus 32 because they got their ass whooped in one game, but they were 2-1. So they were the highest ranked third place team. The Dominican Republic moved on because they were +1 in terms of point differential. Colombia, they got smacked up a little too much. They were minus 35. So if you look at the knockout stage, you have Brazil against the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Canada, Argentina versus Venezuela, the United States versus Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico nearly beat the United States in that game. Probably should have, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to relive that. Brazil beats DR, Canada beats Mexico, Argentina beats Venezuela, Argentina beats the United States, Brazil beats Canada, and then Brazil and Argentina face off in the gold medal game. Argentina wins in a very, very, very fun game. Good atmosphere with the Brazilian crowd. And then you had the United States beating Canada in the third place game, which did not happen in the World Cup a year later, but it did happen in this specific instance. Okay, so let me take a drink of water. I'm doing a lot of talking right now. So what we have in this edition, let's go to the rosters. Let's go to the rosters. FIBA did a great job here, at least, of putting all the rosters together. As a matter of fact, let me refresh this page just because I last looked at this a couple hours ago when it dropped. So let's go roster by roster. We'll do Group A. We'll start. They did alphabetical order. I don't want to start in alphabetical order. You know what? No, I'm going to do that. We'll start in alphabetical order. Let's start with the Bahamas, the Bahamian national team. The reason why is because I've been talking about how high I am on them potentially. This is a good team. This is a legit team. They have Isaiah Mobley, brother of Evan Mobley, who's with um the Cleveland Cavaliers currently. Isaiah Mobley had I think some sort of stint with them. And I think with the Bahamian national team, like there's some real talent here. Isaiah Mobley is the one that you'll pay attention to. Kai Jones was on the roster, and Kai Jones was reporting to the national team, but don't know. He's not listed on the roster right now in terms of the last edition of this. Should have texted Timmy and see what was up there. But the Bahamian national team, regardless, I do think that game that they have against Uruguay is going to be massive. And you have some mainstays like Dominic Bridgewater, somebody who's played for the national team. Franco Miller, I know, is somebody that draws some excitement here, for example. Let's move on down to other parts of the group because I'm already 20-something minutes in. Brazil, they're the favorites to win this entire tournament. Brazil's the favorite to win the AmeriCup. I'm not even joking. We'll get to that shortly. We have Iago dos Santos, who is literally one of my favorite basketball players in the world. Like dudes who are 5'9", because I'm about 5'9", 5'9" and play at a high level, who are tough, who can get buckets, who can play make, who can survive defensively, at times thrive defensively. Like Iago dos Santos, excellent basketball player. Love him. He's going to be leading this team, so to speak. And Bruno Caboclo, his name kills me. He's been murdering me for years. Bruno Caboclo, one of the best players in this tournament, is a guy that can legitimately win MVP. If Brazil wins the whole thing, he'll be one of the front runners. He'll be one of the reasons why that happens. You have some other talent on this team as well, but it's going to start with those two dudes. And I think with the Brazilian national team, man, like you have some size, you have speed. The qualifiers for the Olympics, like they showed again this ability to just get hot from three. They could have a ridiculous quarter where they just go 7 of 8. They can defend at a high level. They pissed off Giannis in that one game in the World Cup years ago. It was like 2019 where they beat Greece. They always have a surprising win in every single tournament that they're in, whether it be in the World Cup, whether it be in the Olympics. Like they're always super competitive. So with the Brazilian national team, like they can absolutely win this. They're really good. I don't know if they will, but with Iago dos Santos, Bruno Caboclo, Jesus Christmas, leading the way, they'll be in good shape. Let's hit Uruguay really quickly. Unfortunately, this might be your last place team. It's going to come down to them and most likely them in the Bahamas, given Team USA and Brazil, obviously. But with Uruguay, you have, I think, one of the more interesting players in this tournament. I'm curious to see how he does in this environment. Santiago Vescovi, who played at Tennessee, who I really liked as a not NBA draft prospect from the standpoint of, he needs to go in the first round or, anything like that necessarily. But it was more so from the standpoint of just like, this is a solid role player potentially who has a nice jumper, who's played in some high leverage games. He is now 20. He's going to be 24 very soon. He was very productive, a consistently good player at Tennessee. And right now he's going to be playing professionally in Spain. Also good for him. I think he's somebody to watch out for. And just overall, like, I think this is Uruguay is not, they're not a chump team. Like they're just not in a favorable situation. And then you have Team USA. If you follow the G League at all, if you follow the NBA even casually, like there are some familiar names here at the face of the team, quote unquote. Like you have Langston Galloway. Langston Galloway is a guy who's been in the Team USA program for a long time. What am I doing? I should probably, let's just get rid of that now. We don't need that anymore. Moving something off the screen. Langston Galloway, who is one of the faces of this AmeriCup portion of the program, so to speak. And just looking at their roster, Javonte Smart, is a familiar name for some people as well. Jamius Ramsey, who's played in some qualifiers for Team USA as well. Um, when they played against Cuba, for example, a few years ago, and Cuba actually beat them once. You have Andrew Andrews, who's a high-level college basketball player as well. Jerry and Grant, a former Knick, um, been a pro for 10 years at this point, as a matter of fact. He was a first-round pick. Some people, the Knicks got him in 2015, and there were a bunch of people who thought that he was going to be like that. They liked him basically more than Porzingis, who they drafted that year, which is questionable, we'll say. Jack Cooley, who's been in Team USA before, as a matter of fact. Rob Baker, not Ron Baker. I know that trips some people up, but Steven Silas is the coach. Patrick Mutombo is one of the assistants. So you got some names who have just been just solid part of this program, AmeriCup, G League rather, and Team USA. Like, this is a team that can win it still. Like, this is a team who's going to be one of the favorites, and it's not just like Team USA stuff. These are really good G League players, some of whom are probably like good enough to be in the NBA, but maybe aren't for political reasons. All right, let's go to Group B. One of their top contenders, Canada, one of the top guys sort of going at this. Canada just doesn't tend to perform well in some of these bigger tournaments. As mentioned, they lost in they kind of disappoint, but in the World Cup they were able to overachieve and get that bronze medal, which is nice to see. We'll see what happens here. In the Olympics, they did not medal. Many people thought that they could have. I didn't think they were going to, and they did lose in the quarterfinals. Here, Trey Bell-Haynes is the old holdover from the Canadian team who got the bronze medal in 2023. Nobody here played on the Olympic team because they brought they're treating it like Team USA does. They brought their A squad, and they didn't for this. Trey Bell-Haynes, though, he's tenured. He's played in Canada professionally. Mfiondu Kabengele is another player who you should monitor, who's been in the NBA, who had a stint with the Clippers, for example. Canada's good. Leonard Miller obviously is another player. I could have led with Leonard Miller very easily, as a matter of fact. But Leonard Miller is right now in the NBA. He is with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's been there for the last couple years, not really playing much, to be honest with you. He's also played in the G League, not extensively. Well, he's played in the G League consistently, but with the Minnesota Timberwolves, he hasn't really gotten minutes over the last couple years. But he's somebody who I think will benefit from this tournament, as a matter of fact, and Canada will benefit having him. But this is a talented team. Kyle Wiltshire, who's played some international ball, and Nate Mitchell's the coach. I think Canada is good enough to potentially win the whole thing. I think kind of like what I did for the Asia Cup, where there was an inner circle where I thought 6 or 7 teams had a chance to really legitimately win it. And then, all 4 of the teams that went to the Final Four were teams that I liked going in. I'll do a similar thing here. And I think Canada is one of these teams who could absolutely win this tournament. Let's hit up Panama briefly. Unfortunately, I think this is one of the weaker teams in this tournament, but I still think this is a team that's like, shout out to them for making it here, for making it into this tournament. But I got to be honest with you, they're in a tough group. Panama's going to bring it. And it's funny, like, I could look real stupid very shortly because Panama's going to play Puerto Rico. And if they pull off the upset, then this will come out looking dumb, but Panama's in a tough spot. The Puerto Rican national team. This team's going to stress me out. Andre Curbelo was on the roster. He had a medical issue. He is not playing. So his return to the national program is going to have to wait. Ivan Gandia is back. But the face of this team is Jose Alvarado, New Orleans Pelican. Don't know for how much longer. I think another team would benefit from having him more than the Pelicans at this current state, but Jose Alvarado played with the team in the Olympics and was the best player on the team during the Olympics and will be the best player on the AmeriCup. Infinity salutes for playing in the AmeriCup as an NBA player who, like, he doesn't have to, and he's the best player in the program actively right now. Julian Strawther hasn't made his debut with the senior national team yet. Jose Alvarado is setting an example, setting a bar, setting a standard Carlos Arroyo, I'm sure, is very happy about that. It's the GM of the program. So Jose Alvarado's here. You have a lot of returnees. George Condit, who's been a fixture in the national team since 2001 Olympic qualifiers, where he went head to head with Boban Marjanovic and gave him buckets. He's sniffed the NBA. He's been in the summer league. He's been in the G League, but he's a really good international player, overseas player, starting center for the national team for a while now. World Cup, Olympics experience. We're going to see RJ Melendez. He's going to make his debut with the senior national team. That's good. Isaiah Pinheiro, who's been a fixture in the program since being in the World Cup team in 2019. Gary Brown Ramirez is going to be back on the national team after a couple years away. So that's going to be interesting. He was a big part of their 2019 World Cup team. As a matter of fact, Jordan Cintron, like you have a good mix of guys returning and also youth, like really getting an opportunity here. Jordan Cintron is part of that. Alfonso Plummer, who was a really good player with Andre Curbelo, as a matter of fact, at Illinois. And Melendez, as a matter of fact. Melendez played there for a bit, but Alfonso Plummer is a really, really skilled shooter, can create a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. I'm probably being disrespectful there, but Alfonso Plummer is good. I'm curious to see what he'll look like with the national team in the AmeriCup. Ismael Romero, he's been a fixture of the team as well last few years, instrumental in the World Cup run, also in the Olympics. He was there. He played in the last AmeriCup too, as a matter of fact, and Arnaldo Toro, who's probably going to be coming off the bench in the big man rotation. But he enjoyed a cup of coffee at St. John's. And Jean Clavel, like he's been on the national team for years and years. Made big shots in the World Cup in 2019. Absolute fun, just a joy to watch. Clavel. So Carlos Gonzalez is going to coach his first major tournament with team. Nelson Colon stepped down after the Olympics. He did his cycle. He did the 4 years, and now that's it. So Carlos Gonzalez, now it's going to be his turn. We'll see what happens here. This is a team that can win the whole thing, legitimately. I'm not just saying that because I'm Puerto Rican. This is a team that can win the whole thing. I think the expectation for them should be medal. A Puerto Rican team hasn't medaled in multiple AmeriCups. So we'll see what happens there. And then rounding off the group is Venezuela. You have some familiar names as well. Joaner Cifuentes. Let's see. We have Enrique Medina. He's going to be interesting to watch. If he, we'll see how much of a factor he's going to be in this tournament. Venezuela is a team that's interesting. I think you can be both better than people expect, but also again, they might just be 1 and 2. We'll see what happens there. But ultimately, with Venezuela, they're the team who's trying to play spoiler between PR and Canada. It's a Canada PR type of they're circling each other and they're trying to get to 2-0. So when they face each other, they'll be playing for seeding. But Venezuela has a much better chance, no disrespect to Panama, at playing spoiler than Panama does. This is Argentina, not their A squad. Argentina's taking some hits, man. Didn't make the last Olympics after being a mainstay in the Olympics. Didn't make the last World Cup. Losing to the Bahamian national team. And Argentina in basketball, I don't know why they're still ranked in the top 10 in the world right now, considering that they can't qualify for these major tournaments. And even here, they're not even projected to medal right now. So, I don't know why they're still being rewarded with a top 10 spot. That's not to say this team isn't good, but this isn't their A team. There's no Campazzo. You don't even have Gabriel Deck, for example. You're seeing Jose Vildoza is going to be here. So that's cool. But, I mean, the Argentinian national team, Nicolas Brusino, I mean, are they going to medal? Sportsbooks don't seem to think so. Pablo Prigioni is a good coach, though. I'll give him that. I like Pablo Prigioni as a coach. So, this is funny. I'm not sure if he was calling these things this before I started doing these, but I'm not going to take credit for that. That's interesting. All right, Colombia. This is the worst team in this group, other than Nicaragua, who is the worst team in the tournament. No disrespect. This is Colombia's team. And I'd be pretty surprised if they made it to the knockout stage, is where I'm at. That's really all I got. I'd be pretty surprised if they make it to the knockout stage, is what I'll say. The Dominican team, who's they made it to the World Cup. They nearly made it to the World Cup quarterfinals. Like they if they beat the Puerto Rican national team, they could have made it to the World Cup quarterfinals. They were 3-0 in group to start, then they lost both of their games in the second round. They didn't make not the quarter. No. Yeah, it would have been the quarterfinals. It would have been the quarterfinals. They had a top 16 finish, but the Dominican national team has been a good program. No Karl Anthony Towns, but you still have David Jones, formerly played at St. John's. For example, Victor Lees, who's been a mainstay for this program for a long, long time. John Montero, Juan Suero, like a whole bunch of guys. Eloy Vargas, who've been playing for this national team for years. Andres Feliz, who's going to be leading at point guard. Angel Delgado, Seton Hall, stand up. Also former Clipper, I think the Agua Caliente Clippers. Angel Delgado, who's a beast in the paint. He's going to be back. Joel Soriano, also formerly of St. John's and Fordham. He's back he's here. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't say back. This might be his first major tournament, as a matter of fact. But Joel Soriano, like DR has size. DR has some shooting, but they really have size. They have competent size that you can't, not dudes that you're just putting out there. Like Angel Delgado is a force. Joel Soriano is a force. Eloy Vargas is a real vet. You have other guys that can penetrate. Like, this is a real good team. As a matter of fact, I really think they could beat the Argentinian national team, but we'll see how this ends up shaking out. And then Nestor Garcia, who is one of the most entertaining coaches in all of FIBA, legitimately. All of FIBA. He's funny. He's really funny, dude. I hope the camera is on him. And then the hosts, Nicaragua. Shout out to them for hosting. Great opportunity for them. I can't tell you whether or not they're going to be awesome. But listen, I'll be honest with you. Because they have Norchad Omier alone, like, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they beat Colombia. Norchad Omier, like, this is a good tournament for him. Norchad Omier, if you're not familiar, he spent some time in Miami, not the Heat, but the U. In college. We got to wrap this up because Puerto Rico's about to play Panama. Also Baylor last year, double threat. Like, one of these dudes who he can play above his size. Like, he's listed here as a small forward. He's gonna be like low key. He's gonna be close. He'll play like a center. I'd be stunned if he's not best rebounder. He's probably one of the best rebounders in this tournament. So shout out to Norchad Omier for actually representing Nicaragua here. If they win a game, he'll be the reason. And that's all the rosters. That's all the rosters. In terms of that, David Jones Garcia, as I mentioned, from the Dominican Republic, from before, also NBA player, and Kaishan George with the Canadian national team, is playing with the Wizards. So in totality, you have 4 NBA players in this tournament. You have Jose Alvarado from Puerto Rico, as I mentioned, Kaishan George, Canada, David Jones Garcia from the Dominican Republic, who's on a contract with the Spurs right now. We'll see if he ends up on the final roster. And then Leonard Miller with Team Canada, as I mentioned, with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Best players in this tournament, I mean, we shouted out some of them. There's going to be a lot of fun players to watch. Let's actually end it with some odds, what Vegas thinks, or what perhaps some of the bettors think could happen, as this is about to tip off literally in 2 minutes. So, favorite for this tournament, as I mentioned, is Brazil. This is not a joke. Bet365 has it. Brazil plus 250 to win the entire tournament. That's a very interesting price. You have Team USA plus 300. You have Canada plus 350. You have Puerto Rico plus 500. Those are the top 4. Argentina plus 650. Dominican Republic plus 700. And then from there, there's a big drop off. The Bahamian national team, more liked than Venezuela, which is curious. But also, it's kind of what I'm saying. I'm interested in Nicaragua potentially beating Colombia. But we'll get to that. Just game by game though. It's going to be a fun tournament to watch in terms of who's going to win this. We'll end it here. Who's going to win this? Brazil's a deserved favorite. They could win a tournament. USA has talent. They could win a tournament. Canada has talent. They could win a tournament. Puerto Rico has talent and experience and youth upside and shooting and speed. They could win this tournament. And I think if you want to separate it into tiers, the tier 1 teams to me are, I just kind of burped low key, excuse me. What are we, 40 minutes in? 41. The tier 1 teams to me are Brazil, USA, Canada, and I'm adding Puerto Rico in there. Puerto Rico should be in there. They're a tier 1 team because a lot of these guys have played in the World Cup. A lot of these guys have played in the Olympics. And Jose Alvarado could be the best player in this entire tournament. Legitimately. Like, Jose Alvarado could be the best player in this entire tournament. There are 4 NBA players in this tournament. He's the best one out of all of them. Kaishan George, Trey Bell-Haynes from Canada, not an NBA player right now. Kaishan George, David Jones Garcia, I suppose. Like Langston Galloway's not in the NBA right now. Leonard Miller doesn't play a ton. Yeah, Jose Alvarado's the best player in this tournament. Now, he's 6 feet tall, maybe, but still, he's the best player in this tournament. And then otherwise, I think tier 2 is Argentina, Dominican Republic, end it. And then tier 3 is like the real long shot tier. That's just Bahamas, Venezuela. And then the bottom tier is like Colombia, Panama, Uruguay, Nicaragua. So I think the final 4 will be 4 of those top 6 teams: Brazil, USA, Canada, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Dominican Republic. I think it could very well be the top 4. We'll see. Brazil and the United States play each other early, so they'll be able to avoid each other in the first part of knockout round, which actually kind of helps them both. But then they're going to have tough matchups from there. And then Canada, Puerto Rico, like, it's interesting because you have the top 2 teams from one group right next to each other, and then the top 2 teams from the next group right next to each other, because Group A had Brazil, United States, Group B had Canada, Puerto Rico, and then Group C, Argentina, Dominican Republic. And then from there, you'd expect it to be Bahamas and Venezuela. But again, these things would not go as expected all the time. I think the Bahamian national team could win twice. I think Venezuela, to a lesser degree, I think they could win 2 games. I'd be stunned if Colombia, Panama, Uruguay, or Nicaragua wins 2 games. I think they're all capable of winning 1. I don't think they're going to win both. That'll be surprising to me. And I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm picking Puerto Rico to win the whole thing. That's it. We're getting out of here. Watch the AmeriCup. We'll check back in. We have other stuff coming on the channel now that I'm back. And I'm wearing a hat because my head is peeling because of a tan. So back off vacation. More to come very soon. Afrobasket, Eurobasket preview coming this week. More AmeriCup stuff as the tournament goes. And we have some boxing. Canelo and Crawford is coming up before you know it. So a lot to come on this channel. Keep it locked. We're going to be active. And also, Discord, DM for the link. We have a free Discord now. Free. Has every sport. It's small. It's starting off small, but we're just inviting like solid people. So get your sports fix there as we grow that out with stage shows and other stuff. They got this first. So yeah.